Oh, hello. Alright, I think this is working. Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be, well, okay. I shouldn't be saying this like this is my last stream. This is my, in fact, first stream in, oh boy, has it been 4 years? I have not exactly done one of these for a while. I was actually planning on having Edge handle my music today, but turns out the OBS audio capture utility doesn't capture from Edge, it seems. So I'm back to using Google Chrome, but that should be fine. That's why I was asking about how the audio was working. So let me know if there's any weirdness in any of the sound handling for that, because all of my audio balancing I did before stream is no longer working. So everything's off the cuff now. But yeah, today we're going to be working on, well, making sure that everything's right. But additional stream info here is going to be replaced with adding syncing to contact audio system. My contact audio system. There. Okay. All right. Can we move this to the left? Easy. I'm very good at this. All right. Let's swap away from the. Again, all of my music handling is now much more getting figured out than it was before. Where'd it go? Audio balance sounds good. Awesome. Glad I followed this score. Lots of useful stuff. Yeah, good to have you. I've definitely wanted to make more tutorial videos over the past few, honestly, years. This might sound a little stupid, but the main reason why I haven't had more tutorials as of late has entirely been because of issues with my VTube software. I've used VMagic Mirror for quite a while, and I just couldn't get this model working with it. And whenever I started to make a tutorial, when I had an idea for it, it's like, ah, oh, great. This just, like, I ran into an issue with the creative process of it, and it just completely locked my brain out of what I was trying to do at the time, and I would just give up and not come back to it. As you can probably tell, that with my hands not on like a digital keyboard or anything, I am no longer using VMagic Mirror. I am using VC Face. So it doesn't have the nice little show where my mouse and keyboard are and stuff. In fact, I'm not even convinced. Oh no, so you do see my cursor. Awesome. Okay. But this seems to be working perfectly fine for now. Now I just have to figure out which of these tabs I have music playing in. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Oh, here we go. I found it. Alright. I have too many tabs open, but thankfully I have some pretty good tooling now for making you only see the actual things that I want people to be able to see, and don't have to see all of my horrendous desktop. I'm the kind of creator who's so lazy to put a bunch of... Yo. Okay, genuinely, the amount of projects that I finish versus the amount of tools that I make for making projects easier is a hilariously disproportionate value that realistically doesn't actually make any sense. But it is very enjoyable. Alright, so copy that URL, pause Wii Sports, and go into this. So there we go. Let me know if that's too quiet, too loud. It might be too quiet. I'm just looking at the levels here. Alright. Looks like it should be fine. Okay. Well, in that case, we can probably actually get started with this. Water's good. I recommend everyone have water. Alright, so for those who aren't aware, I have a free tool called Contact, which is largely a audio pooling system that lets you do things like play a bunch of audio effects without worrying about accidentally playing 400 or something like that, where it like completely breaks everything. It pools a limited amount of audio sources, and then you can pretty safely not have a bunch of random sound effects go off because something got queued wrong or the likes. The main systems that it gets used for is the physics of these objects hitting the ground, or the footsteps for players walking around on different surfaces. Alright, so I'm going to go into play mode here, and I'm going to have chat tell me if they can hear the fact that I am in play mode when objects hit around or I walk around with footsteps, because it might be too quiet. I really audio balance Unity much lower than default, and that's not for streaming, that's just I think Unity is loud. So if you can hear footsteps right now, that would be great to hear, or it might have to be turned up a little bit. You cannot. Alright. Let's do some tinkering then. So... oh, you hear things fall. Okay, okay, good. Yeah, it might need to be turned up a little bit. If you weren't hearing the footsteps, but were hearing the collision stuff. Alright, I will bring it up from 40% to 55%. Do you hear footsteps of me walking around and clomping on the ground? Clunk, clunk. All of these sound effects actually... oh, awesome. That's good to hear. All of the sound effects that I have in this system by default are things I recorded at my desk. So the sound effect of me walking around on the ground here, I literally... oh, yeah. I guess the music might be a little bit... oh, I wouldn't say the music's loud, but the sound effects are quiet. Yeah. Let me know if you think there's any adjustments that you want to hear on your side, because on my computer, everything sounds pretty fine. So I'm just taking everyone's word for it. But all of the sound effects that I have for this, I just recorded at my desk here. So the default sound of walking around, I just lifted a shoe up to my desk. I think I had just a cardboard box, and I just hit the shoe against the box next to the microphone and called that good enough. You have no idea how many times I go into VR chat worlds and hear me hitting a shoe against a box. It honestly makes me kind of wish I had recorded some better audio clips by default when I just hear them randomly in places. Yeah. Alright, so now the actual thing we're here for. VRChat recently added synced parameters for send custom network event. And that is going to be 100% of how we will be handling this. For the footsteps, that's going to be very easy because the bank of footstep sounds are situated on one object, which is the contact footsteps object here. So this object knows what all of the available sounds are. The physics one is on all of the... ooh, I have camera smoothing on. I do not want that. Easing, there we go. Yeah, so the banks of audio for physics objects are on all of the physics objects themselves. So if we want the networked thing to happen, it needs to happen on this individual object instead of on the full parent manager system that we have for the footsteps one. The reason that I care about that at all is for the footsteps system, all of the scripts and things that we have for it. So like say we have the, I think we have an override. Yeah, a footstep override thing here. This script is completely just, there we go. There's nothing networking happening on it. So we can just declare Udon behavior sync method none so that there's no syncing on it. However, if we look at our physics object here, open up the script for that, this also has sync mode none, but if we want to be able to send custom network event to this object, it will have to be at least manual. Now, we can just set that to be manual and it's going to be fine, but none means that it's completely detached from the networking and is thus a bit more performant on VRChat's side. If we have, say, 500 of these objects, and they're all networking type manual instead of none, they're going to have an existence on the networking for the world rather than literally none. And realistically, that's fine. There's no data being stored that needs to be serialized onto these things. It's just one of those things that I would have liked to avoid, but this is the architecture that I have. And I am not going to be doing a dramatic architectural change for a small networking performance advantage on a tool that I have for free. Sorry. So let's start out with the footsteps one, like I had mentioned before. All right. Structurally, the footstep system has these only know nodes and nodes. Okay, I love Udon Graph. I think that it is quite good for what it is. There's obviously improvements that could be made to it. But I think it is very functional for people who are doing quite basic things. Unfortunately, I do the opposite of basic things. These presets here are a scriptable object that store custom arrays for things. And during the build process, this gets turned into all of these multi-dimensional arrays. So these are arrays inside of arrays. And that automation can only be done with U# instead of Graph. And I genuinely, this is the kind of thing that I don't want VRChat to try to support in their Graph, because it would be so much extra time and effort that they would have to put in for a feature that like 5 people will use. I think this is something that's much better left for Udon Graph, Udon Sharp, especially since it's not even really intended. It just kind of worked out. All right, so the footstep system largely just has you moving along on the ground while you're grounded. Time goes up, it checks your current velocity, it keeps adding it together. And when it hits a new interval for when a footstep is meant to be played, it simply says, play footstep. Now, this works great locally, but there's no syncing for players having, like, hearing people walking up to them. So that is what we are going to be adding. So we'll have to declare that this has manual sync on here. There we go. So what actually are we declaring for this? Play footstep. Play sound, local player will get position, default distance, volume curve, evaluate, preset override. How are we knowing if there's a preset override. I have not checked this code in quite a while, so there's just a little bit that I need to catch up on here. Actually, looking at the stream, I see that I'm blocking a little bit of the screen, so let's adjust a few things like moving this text over here. I probably could have just dragged this and would have been faster. And then moving me over here. There we go. Now I shouldn't actually be blocking any of the code. Excuse me. All right, so we need a ID for knowing which of these that we're trying to hit. It doesn't seem to be something I'm storing by default. So let's figure out where I'm actually gathering them. So check ground. This checks to see if the player is grounded. And then, current ID. Okay, current ID is part of contact behavior, which is a class that I am inheriting from for this script. Why am I doing that? I guess it just has this reference here for the audio player. And some very basic initialization stuff set up. Preset override is that. Using preset current ID. Alright, I am curious what current ID actually is representing. Yeah, I also... yeah, Louis Light, I think I wrote this in... Oh god, would it have been either 2022 or 2023? I rewrote this system probably 3 times because each time I was like, this system is far too complicated for someone to just come in and use and expect it to make sense. The problem is, a generic audio pooling system that has built-in footsteps and physics sounds isn't exactly the most basic thing in the world. So the UX ends up being complicated. And since I rewrote this 3 or 4 times, I have like 3 or 4 versions of this in my head for what it even is. Alright, so current ID is... Oh, okay. I'm now remembering. These are jagged arrays because each array inside of this is one of these, one of the ones associated with the index for this preset. So let's actually look at that here in play mode real quick. I can explain what that means a bit better if I just point it out. Alright, so if I go to contact footsteps here and look at this in debug mode, should have it... Never mind. Jagged arrays do not serialize in Unity. I forgot that. So I can't exactly show you it. Basically, imagine that each value inside of this is an array of materials corresponding with the index here. So this, if this is like index 2 and then there's 15 materials in this one, this is corresponding with the second preset that's in there. And thus we have current ID, and current ID is just what index of preset that it's using. Since we have that, I think that should be everything. Yeah, okay. So we'll need 2 things. This ID, and the position that's being played at. And that will be networked out to all players. And then that... we don't need to check distances in this because the distance check is already done in the root contact audio player system. So one of the advantages of this system is, let's say you have a hammer off in the distance that's just bonking a wall like every 4 seconds. Just an example. If you are 1,000 meters away from that and it tries to play a sound effect, you don't want it to even try to do that. You just want it to give up and fail on that so that you don't actually incur the performance cost or even the little sound hitch you might get for trying to play audio that's really far away. Because it got tight foot. Oh my god. I don't know if tags are something that you can even use in Udon. But if not, I would be glad so. They are something that makes prototyping very quick. But they also tend to survive past the prototyping stage. And then it just gets to be a bit of a mess when you come in and you're new to a project and you click the drop down and you're like, oh, why is there a tag for left blue shield projectile or something like that? Like, it's just, it just didn't need to be there. But it was there for prototyping, and now it's there forever. Alright, play sound child and play sound. These are all going to need a play sound function. So this calls try get source. So this is already getting an audio source and then playing a sound on it. So this will need to know whether or not it's synced. Alright, so let's start at the footsteps. We'll just put a bool up here. Oh god, these are all public. Well, not changing it now. Let's see, sync footsteps. Just have that default by have that true by default. And let's see, play footstep, check ground. So yeah, okay. We'll have another function here. It's just public void. Networked footstep. And I think this needs to be not network thing. Network callable. There we go. This is a new attribute that hold on, it's a little bit loud. Where's my music? Where'd I put it? Oh god. Adjusting the volume for this is particularly difficult because the slider is so far to the left already that I have roughly pixels to adjust. I think it might be back where it started. Oh well. So, network footstep. This is very true. Network footsteps are going to need to know the ID and the position they are being called at. Let's see here. Three position. And to do that, we'll just do send custom network event. They changed how this works a bit. So targets, we can have others. So this won't call locally. Hi, Envia. Yes, I'm in fact doing the code. Let's see. So this would be the event name of name network footstep. And then we need to pass it the current ID that we're using. Actually, what is being set here? Using preset. Well, I wouldn't say I'm hacking the interwebs, but this is definitely going to be networked, so there's internet things happening. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying. What on earth is this going to end up looking like? Because we have the override that we're using, or we're using the generic jump clips. Reset override. When is this ever being set? Oh, okay, that's gonna make this a bit more complicated. Yeah, okay, so what this does is by default, just ignore what the errors we have. This surface here has the grass material on it. And by default, that doesn't need any code or stuff to be told. If I click on this preset, it just knows that there's a grass material in here that it uses. However, if you want to use something like terrain, terrain doesn't actually... excuse me. Terrain doesn't have a good way of us getting the same material the likes, and you might want an object to have an effect on it that the base material that is otherwise using doesn't actually have. So we just have an override for it. So this system checks to see if there's an override preset on it, and if not, it gets the material, figures out which bank of stuff it's in, and then uses that. The problem is, this preset here is stored on the terrain override, on the override function here, instead of on the base thing here. What can I do about that? We can assert that this preset is in this list. Like, we might be able to get away with that. And then we just find the ID of where it is in that list. Nothing broke, I swear. Actually, I don't even know if that came over the mic. I've just incriminated myself. Let's see. How can you implement a dynamic object interaction system in a VRChat world using Udon Sharp, ensuring that interactive elements respond to player actions efficiently while minimizing performance overhead? Well, that's what this is doing, but for audio, and I would say very much a case-by-case basis. What's the system that you have in mind? So I think for reference, we might be at a 6 to 8 second delay from stream. I could be wrong, but that's what I think it is. Yeah. I think if we just assert that Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can assert that this preset is inside of this existing footsteps thing. And if it is not, we append it in during the build process. So that way I can just pretty safely say that, like, hey, this, we know that this is here. Event-based interaction, primarily. Do you have any examples of what you mean? Like, it's just a basic one, like, you mean like click button toggle lights kind of thing? Or what are you thinking? Iconoclast, welcome to the stream. And yeah, I am glad people have been able to get use out of them over the years. I will happily continue. Excuse me. I will happily continue to contribute wherever I can. That was a horrible sentence to say out loud, actually. Alright, so if we have the preset override, we want to figure out the array in the audio player system. Also, let me know if the resolution on any of the text is low on the stream or the likes. I can zoom in and be perfectly fine. Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to hear that. I would love to make more tutorial videos, and I should be able to now. But yeah, if you have any kind of tutorial requests, then just let me know. I think I have a channel for it on the Discord server. Also, yeah, I'm shilling my Discord server. You should totally join. Video ideas. I guess I can change that to tutorial requests. Save changes. Okay. Yeah, that fits a bit better with what it actually is. Perfectly readable at 1080p. Awesome. That is exactly what we want to hear. Alright, so we're going to do two things here. Material IDs. There, that. We're going to be getting our instance ID there. Current ID from that. Okay, so this will go in else. Let's see, let's just fall back to oh, I think I peeked there a bit, sorry. As someone who has the IQ of a wet hot dog, I enjoy simplified videos that allow me to follow the mouse movements. No shortcut keys. Yeah, that is one of the... Actually, as I guess as a note for these streams, I'm using JetBrains Rider as my programming software, but for all of my tutorial videos, I use Visual Studio Code. One, because most people actually have it, but two, I don't know the shortcuts in Visual Studio Code, so I can't use them for tutorial videos. I have to click and like actually show what I'm doing, and it's one of the advantages of being less familiar with the software is that I can avoid being too smart with it. Whereas I have lots of custom stuff that I can do here in Rider with my own shortcuts that I would have no idea how to do in Visual Studio Code. It seems some of my presets aren't what I thought they were either. Alright. Let's see. Preset override. So, bound surface is equal true. Aaron Ashley, I love writers. The only ID you can find that has HLSL autocomplete out of the box. Oh, really? I'm gonna be honest. I haven't done much shader code, and what I've done through like graphs, like Unity shader graph or Amplify. And the few times that I did poke around with shaders in code, I found that the autocomplete for it was less than I would have liked. But there's a good chance that that was just me not knowing what shader code actually was, which I didn't. So, most how-to videos go too fast or too slow, or they take way too long to get to the point. Yeah, one of the big things that I really go for in a lot of my tutorial videos is I'm essentially making two different videos. There's the Udon graph one in the first half and the Udon sharp in the second half. The Udon sharp one, since I've already explained the theory for the Udon graph section, it's basically just the practice for the Udon sharp section. And because of that, I've had a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I love being able to watch your entire video and like learn the whole thing. But I've also had plenty of other people be like, thank you for going real quick with the Udon sharp sections so I could just skip to it and then copy the code there. Which a lot of people like do how do I put this? I am perfectly fine with people skipping to the end and copying code. A lot of people want to get a single project done and aren't here to learn the whole thing. Copilot and Uno Sharp aren't friends either. It keeps falling back to functions that aren't exposed. Yeah, that's very true. I have no idea how I would have learned to code if Copilot was around in 2020, because I started learning to code because of Udon Sharp. And because back then Udon Graph was incredibly laggy. Like, you couldn't have more than 10 nodes on screen and expect Unity as an application to work. So it just wasn't an option back then. So I dove headfirst into Udon Sharp, and I'm still trying to unlearn some of my Udon-isms when I'm doing actual things that are outside of VR chat. But it definitely helped that there was only one layer of abstraction. If Copilot was out there gaslighting me, telling me to be implementing list sorting or stuff like that, I probably would have completely given up out of frustration. Excuse me. Let's see here. So we need to find the ID of our preset override inside of our preset array, which is easy. We can do current ID equals array.index of. But we'll need... Oh, actually... If we had these presets still at runtime, that would be easy. However, these presets get completely wiped because the object itself doesn't actually exist in Udon. My custom preset isn't real. And if I don't set those to be null when the project builds, the compiler panics and clears out all serialized values on the script. I'm working on a platform for in-game ads using image loader the VRC provides. I don't know many world creators though. Do you think something like that would be helpful for world creators? On occasion. It really depends on the world. There's definitely places that already use that kind of thing, where they have a string loading for different posters they use. For example, just think of like movie places. They'll have a lot of things like that, but they also have a lot of very established tools that they are using for their processes, and they know how to make those kind of systems themselves. It's the more, probably, I don't want to say artsy side. I have an art major, so I guess I can technically say that, but it feels like an insult. But on the more creators that are more on the creative side would probably be more interested in having that kind of stuff as well. There's some tools for loading in images for posters already, just as a poster, but I think it would be pretty good. Like, okay, my general opinion, there can never be too many prefabs. If there's lots of prefabs for something, one will win out and people will use that. I don't know if there exists a kind of like paid system like that for it now, but if you think that there is a market space for that, free or otherwise, go right ahead. I love to see it. In fact, once you release it, post about it in the project showcase channel of my Discord server. Do it. Do you ever get frustrated when people underestimate how much work goes into coding and world building? Well, fortunately, I'm not someone who really gets frustrated very quickly or very often at all. And because of that, it makes it very easy for me to get over things. There's not a whole lot that I feel I really need to get over, though. Like, don't get me wrong. People will always underestimate the amount of time that it takes for a project to get done. I make... excuse me. I make a bunch of scripts and stuff and pretty big and complex things on commission. And there's definitely been times where I'm like, all right, this will take X amount of hours to complete. And they'll be like, huh! And they just like obviously can't afford it if it's that big of a project. So while it's unfortunate, there's just people with different levels of experience and different expectations. I'm not going to get angry at someone for not being intimately familiar with how long it takes to 3D model a turtle or something like that. Yeah, for sure. Survival of the fittest prefab edition. True, true. Very, very much the case. All right. While I was responding to that, I think I've come up with a solution for this. These get wiped on upload, but we still need to know which thing it is. So what I'm going to do is store its... should I do the instance ID? I think instance ID changes on build, so... Since it's all being stored on build, it should be fine. I'll just use names. If someone has named their presets the same thing, that's on them. Alright. String names. For that, then, we're going to have to store that as well. Let's stick this over here. Public string reset name. What are you trying to solve right now? All right, so this is my audio system that I use in a lot of my projects. Actually, it has the footsteps, the physics, and things like that, but it isn't synced. That is the one issue, and honestly, probably the biggest request that I've gotten is to have synced footsteps. I've kind of blown it off as a, it would suck to have synced footsteps. People just like making sound around you all the time. But realistically, it was because it's hard, so I didn't do it. However, now that we have network event parameters, so we can send data with an event, it is really easy to set that up. Now, my architecture for this project isn't quite making that easy for the whole thing. No, I am not player objecting the footstep systems, because I don't want everyone to be counting the distance that objects are being moved and all the code that is already making my footstep system busy as it is. We can safely just sync some stuff out for that, and this should be good. However, the one that really wouldn't work for that is the physics things. So what I've been doing for these objects, okay, so we have our physics object, and when that hits the ground, it goes clunk and like plays a sound effect. However, this is done through the relative velocity, so the speed at which one object is moving against the thing it just hit. This works great locally, but for synced objects are treated as kinematic and don't have any physics. There's some ways around that, like there's toggles and things, but you're not going to get the same physics interaction and environment on other people's computers as you are locally when you're the person who's owning that game object. So you can't expect those collisions to look the same for other players. So this has just been one that's just not really happened syncing wise, and is another one that's so much easier to go ahead and just add in syncing now that we have network event parameters. However, I haven't gotten to the objects yet, the collision objects yet, and I don't actually know how I'll do it. I will solve that later. Right now, I am grabbing some stuff for the footsteps one. Did you hear about the new lighting for VRC? Yeah, VRC light volumes by Red Sim is really impressive. It is, in fact, shader witchcraft, so I don't actually know how it works, but it is super cool to see a lighting system like that works like light probes. It goes over the environment, works perfectly fine. It bakes into essentially a 3D light map, and you can kind of have infinite numbers of lights. It's really impressive. You don't get things like shadow casting or the likes, but you're not expecting that with that kind of system. That's not what it's meant for. It is really impressive though. One of the limitations it has is that due to the way it handles layering multiple lights on top of each other and stuff, it's actually more performant to have 100 lights, light volumes, I guess, in your environment elsewhere than to have them all in the same spot. If you have 100 lights, light volumes that are overlaying on top of each other, you're going to get noticeable performance dips just from that. But I don't know anything beyond that. That's just something they said to me. They had a wonderful showcase of the tool yesterday at the VRC community meetup, and it was great to listen to what they had to show off for that. We bullied them a little bit about some UV Z fighting, but the actual demo they had was really impressive. And hilariously, almost every other world that was being shown off at the community meetup on Sunday also had VRC light volumes in it. They just, people were jumping on it immediately. First I thought Red Sim's system was just an adapter for Bakery's light volumes, but they've done so much more function. Yeah, it is. The tool is very impressive. I don't really know how it works, and I'm honestly not going to figure out how it works, but I will gladly use it if if it ends up making sense. Unity baked volumetrics is not something I am familiar with, unfortunately. I have heard the term. but I've not seen demos of it. I've not seen implementations. I've never looked into it as a tool myself. Yeah. Cluster building is also okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, things I'm dramatically unfamiliar with and unable to properly give a an impressive breakdown of how it works. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. We are now storing the current ID based on the name of the preset override, which is great. Now, we just need to take the position and stick it in here. So we can't actually just do it in that function. We'll do vector 3 position equals local player dot get position. I don't think this is the case, but are send custom network events limited to just the owner in terms of who can send to them? I think it's everyone. Let me pull up the documentation here to make sure that it is in fact accessible by everyone. I would assume so, because send custom network event on its own is not limited to just the owner. Nope, non-owners can also send. Awesome. I will take your word for that, KitKat, and not continue looking at the documentation. So if this doesn't work, it's your fault. Volume is... Volume is also something that I need to send. Volume there. All right, so this will be float volume. Passive volume as well. All right, so I rarely meet other world creators, and when I do, I they never share their secrets with me. That is because their secrets will be a 3-hour rant about some specific thing not working. So probably take that one as a blessing. I guess I don't need to store the preset override anymore. Awesome. Drop that. And just go off of that. Hello. Danger new animations. Rick. This is either Steve or Shaggy. I don't remember. I think it's Steve. Hey, how's it going? Whoops. What's that? There we go. Steve. Great to have you. I guess I don't need to store a bool for using preset anymore either. Man, I can get rid of so much stuff when I just do things better. Stuff is going well here for me. Yeah. Long story short, I am adding networking to the footstep system right now, and will be doing so for the collision sounds in a bit. Alright, so this should be perfectly fine. But now we need to do two things. So I'm a great programmer is not how many lines of code they write, but how many they can remove. Well, remove with intent. You can definitely remove a lot of code arbitrarily and call it good. But I definitely agree. Less code is typically better, though I will always take more readable code over anything. If you have to triple the amount of code that you have just to make it human understandable, then I'll take that. If you manage to compress your whole thing into one really efficient bit shifting networking thing, and in just a few lines of code, that's awesome. I have no idea what your code is ever going to do. Do you ever hide any silly messages in your code? Only if I'm coding after midnight, which is always a mistake. But often I will put little comments in of like, I don't know what this means, help, or things like that, and then hope that future me comes across this and knows what to do with it. Alright, so network footstep there, got the clips there. So this all should be working. Yeah, you can in fact do summary things for functions, but a lot of times they'll be like, oh, why do I have a preset override? Like, what's that? Okay. Yes, I should be adding more comments, and I do. I do add more comments now. I have gotten much better at it now that I've been writing documentation for stuff. This system was made a few years ago before I got good at that. And I could go through and add comments to everything, and that would probably be a good idea. That won't be engaging on stream. So I'll be doing this for now. Actually, what is this song? Is this from Cave Story? Oh no, this is Sunshine. Oh, Gelato Beach. Doesn't sound like Sunshine, but what do I know? I didn't play it. No, this is absolutely Cave Story. They just didn't name it right. I'm on the right comments for open source code bandwagon. Yeah, that's fair. Summaries for every month. Yeah, that's definitely something that I've gotten used to for any code that is on shared projects or public repositories. All right, let's get these post-process scenes running. Scene post-process. We're doing footsteps, so footstep presets here. I think if I were to learn code, I would put views in the comments. I had to keep telling the chief programmer of the game project I work on to stop making magic numbers. Yeah. I've gotten better at that one too, but I'm not immune to it, because a lot of times I'll fiddle around with something and then be like, oh, that was working, and then instantly forget about it and not know what it meant. Or the The worst one is when I Google and come across a number. It's like, use this number. Okay. And then I don't put it at the top as like a const with a real name explaining what that number is. Const into 100. Yes. Like here I have a private const float minimum trigger velocity, which is just 0.5. And this was just 0.5 until I figured out the number I wanted and just put it like that. But the difficulty is coming back and remembering to set that. Okay, so I need to go through and set these names. Content footsteps. Array. Alright. List string. Names.add. What is this? Yeah, I guess just object's name is what I'll use there. Ah, good having you. Yeah, I actually don't know how long I'll be doing these streams for. Probably 2 hours is what I was thinking, but I haven't nailed down a exact time that I'll be going with. But yeah, thanks for having you, and I hope you have a good day. Find object of type is in fact performance heavy. However, this is during the build and upload process. This is not actually in world. This is just having so this script here isn't in VRChat. This is a script that runs in the editor. So find all of the ones in the scene and do a bunch of preparation on those scripts. So this is where it converts all of the different arrays and everything that it has on the presets, converts them into real stuff, and then has that as part of the upload. Also, I think find objects of type might not be exposed to it on, if I remember right. I could be wrong. Maybe it is. But yeah, it is not something you want to be doing often. Look, KitKat. While I appreciate that VRF Assist has become an integral part of my projects, I'm not going to require people to import it to use my tools, which this system is already a required import for other tools that I have. I can't make it go that deep. Look, once there's a on-post process attribute in VRF Assist, maybe I'll change my mind. Set up state names. Could you set up dependencies in Creator Companion to make it a little easier? No clue how that's done personally. I think so. I don't know. Okay. So my tooling does use the Creator Companion packages for a lot of the stuff. And if it requires my tools, then those are in there as well. What I don't know is, let's say someone doesn't have VRF Assist in their package library on VCC. I don't know if importing my package like tells VCC to import that package as well, especially if you don't have it as part of your listing. It might, and if it does, let me know, and I will consider VRF Assist more liberally going forward. But for now, I'm a bit more restricted on putting it into my public projects. I can talk, I swear. Excuse me. All right. So now I just need to set the names on the override. What is happening here? Why did I do this? Why am I casting it 3 times when I could just be using it? Ah. There we go. The presets, physics presets, footstep presets, gunshot presets are empty. Are they placeholders for future logic? No, there's plenty of stuff here, believe me. Preset name is preset.name. All right. Now we get to do the fun part of this, which is actually testing it. I will test it 2 different times. Once in the editor to make sure that I haven't broken anything, but that won't actually let me test the syncing. So I'll have to launch it up into 2 separate VRCheck clients. So there's grass, stone, we have the metal, we have the dirt again. If the terrain is meant to be metal, then that works. Yes, it is. The last thing that I need to do... okay, yeah, I need to grab this first. Because this actually needs to... Okay, so one of the issues I was listing earlier... oh, hi, TC Pool? Yeah, let's just go with that. Yeah, happy to help. If you have any questions, requests, or stuff like that, feel free to either ask here or put it in the Discord server with any kind of information you might have for whatever you're coming across. Or if you have any projects you're working on and you want to show off, then we have a channel for that. And I guess I'm shielding my Discord server now, but yeah, you should totally join if you aren't already. But yeah. Let's see here. So these overrides, I'll need a list of override presets because I'm clearing them out here. List of contact footstep overrides presets equals new. Okay. I wrote down an optimization for a thing and simply didn't use it. I'm very smart. Looking forward to the knocking things over part. Understandable. Oh, what's the frickin' shortcut for select next instance of type? You can't see it, but I'm currently in my key mapping pop-up window here. Next instance. Is that not it? select next. Oh, add selection for next occurrence. Okay. Alt shift period. That's annoying. I unfortunately do not have a personal mind palace. Alt shift period. What an awful shortcut. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna change that. Add selection for next occurrence. That is being changed. Alright, it is now Control Shift V. There we go. Wow, I could not imagine a more annoying thing to do. Because that hotkey requires both hands. Like, I can't leave my right hand on my mouse. Okay, so... we're just gonna call this presets. Can someone pay you to do code? I want to chuck money at the Magic Man. Actually, I do take commissions. Largely the way that my commissions work. I haven't written this down anywhere as like a, hey, here's my commission sheet or stuff. But largely what I do is I have a working average of $20 an hour. And I talk with the person, figure out what the project is, figure out all the features that they want in it, get it all written down, and then figure out how long I would estimate that would generally take. Of course, it'll be plus or minus something. I'm not going to perfectly guesstimate my average, but that is how I come up with a general, this will be the price of this project. I then do the commission split at half at the start and half at the end, so that I have working capital and they have assurance that I'll get through it, and I have assurance that they will actually pay me instead of just taking the prefab or whatever I made and leaving. But yeah, I've found that generally works quite well. I may need to adjust some things because I don't have a clear this is returning cost for additions wanted onto the project, because I feel like that should probably be priced a little bit differently. But for now, that's just, oh, so I'm familiar with this project, but this will be another 3 hours on, so we'll add in another 3 hours worth of work. And that's again been working fine, but I don't know if I should be charging differently for returning customers or I guess returning clients, or how that should be working. It's very much a influx kind of thing. I say influx, I haven't actually changed any of these numbers, I've just thought about changing them. But yeah, they've worked quite well. Alright, so the thing that I was doing is that here I need to append in the rest of the presets. Add range of contact footsteps.presets. Does this need to be to array? No, what is this? Oh, I have to do some casting here. That should work fine. What are your thoughts on someone sharing code they paid you to make? In general, I actually don't feel that bad with it. One of the big things with me as a contractor is you are paying for my time. I am a developer. I am spending my time to work on a project for you. If you want that exclusively, then that's perfectly fine. You can keep that to yourself. If you are taking my code, putting it onto some 3D models that you have, and then selling that, that is also fine. The only thing that I will ask for ahead of time is if the client has no interest in selling the asset and it is a general thing that can be used by multiple people, I will ask them if I can have permission to sell that asset myself independently. And I found that a lot of times I do get a yes out of that, though it tends to not be as useful as I would like. Because a lot of times it'll be like, oh, we have this drinking system, but we want these, and that adjusted to it. And I'm not going to sell a modification of someone else's drinking system. Like, that just doesn't make sense. But for the most part, yeah, as long as realistically, as long as your intentions for the project are made clear to me, then I will be fine with it. Thoughts on the Cyan debacle? It is unfortunate that many people do not have access to a tool that they have used for quite some time, and that is all I will say. Tend to take codes from prefabs and just use them on another project. Yep, yeah, that makes complete sense. I have definitely made things for one project and just slapped on a new coat of paint and called it something completely different for a different project I had, and just kind of went from there. Oh man, as someone who never played Banjo-Kazooie, this just sounds like a Smash Bros. Song to me. But I know that's going to anger anyone who's played Banjo-Kazooie. It's like, no, it's not from Smash Bros. Nothing's from Smash Bros. Alright, so let's click in here and see if the sound effects are all still right. Because the order of the preset adoption is going to be... Ooh, alright, we are already getting an error. Object reference is set to instance of object. Where is this? Oh, this is the Smash Bros. Mix. That's funny. Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, Spyro Mountain, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I wonder if that's a sign that I've played too much Smash Bros. Oh hey, Dr. Blackrat. How is it going? I have made a bunch of changes to a thing to try to make it networked, and got a single error, which is always a good sign when I get 1 instead of 100. Capture material IDs is being called from the gunshots. Material IDs, gunshots. Oh, is there adjustments that I need to make for the gunshot presets? Okay. Yeah, all's doing good. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I do not have much memory of this gunshot system. The gunshots were definitely the gunshot effects were definitely something that I added as a proof of concept of how this tool can be used for that kind of thing. and did not go much further from there. Yeah, adding syncing to contact. What are you even doing to sync there? Two things. The contact itself, the audio pooling system, won't have any syncing, but the systems that come with it will. For example, the footstep sound effect system will now have a toggle for enabling synced footstep sounds. So if you want, you can hear people walking around you on their surfaces. For the physics collision, synced objects are kinematic remotely, so you don't actually know what their velocity is when they hit something. So the owner of that object is going to observe those collisions and tell everyone else, hey, play the sound here for this collision. The lack of networking on those two things has been a hotly requested thing for some time. Global object system. Contact behavior. What am I doing here? This has a current ID, but what's current ID here for? Oh, I guess I just made this quickly and didn't realize I had abstracted this. Yes, this whole stream is essentially readjusting this system to use the network event parameters. Interestingly, the single video playlist that I'm using has, at this point in the video, stopped putting in breakpoints for the different songs. So I will not be able to look at the names of different songs as we go forward from here. It's just one massive section labeled Splatoon 2 Shoes Shop. Oh, and if you ever find that global object syncs does not work and you get an error, just bring in something that already has object sync attached and we'll fix the error somehow. Well, I don't know what you mean on that one, so I hope I will not run into that issue. I've wanted to learn Udon for a while now, but didn't realize until I started diving in how much of it relies on understanding of programming. It's something I know nothing about. Yeah, especially if you're new to Unity in general, there's a lot of concepts of things connecting and talking to each other that are very programmer mindset that can be very difficult for people to really be able to dive in without also wanting to have that kind of understanding of programming. I learned programming originally because of Udon, like from Udon and Udon Sharp is what got me into it. But you definitely want to have, you will learn more about Udon if you want to learn programming at the same time. If you are trying to finish a project and need Udon to do it, it's so much harder to figure out what's going on if you aren't passionate about the learning side of it as well. And don't get me wrong, you do not have to be. If you are using Udon just to finish a project because you had a thing you were working on and want to get that thing done, that is perfectly valid. It is just another tool. You don't need to learn the whole tooling system and everything. Like, you don't need to be a carpenter to whittle a stick is largely what I mean by that. I've been following Unity tutorials and learning a lot. The main site has a great pathway series. So just need some kind of tutorial series that makes C# click. Yeah, that makes sense. There's definitely a lot of structure stuff to it. I actually found that the kind of strict structure that it uses bracket-wise and stuff really kind of helped me out compared to things like Python or the likes. Like, I don't remember any of the Python that I took in college, probably because I failed those classes. Um, but yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that I hate myself in order to enjoy world building and stuff. It's that you need to enjoy an unfair challenge. Though perhaps those are one and the same. I cannot speak onto that. Let's see. We need a list of string for the reset names. I've heard a lot of people talk about Rust. I have not learned anything about Rust. But one day you will learn why. One day. I swear it will make sense. Actually, I feel like I got distracted here. What was the error? Hold on. I'm gonna restart this here. How good of an understanding of C# do you think you would need to be able to work with U#? Beginner, intermediate, expert? I mean, again, I didn't know any going into my learning of Udon Graph and then Udon Sharp. It definitely... it is advantageous that I had basically a whole month of nothing to do at the time, and I was able to just completely deep dive myself into it. So I don't really know how to fit learning it into a reasonable person's schedule. I really did just kind of spend a month becoming the most knowledgeable person at the time since it had just come out. And then realized, oh wait, there's like 2 tutorial videos out and they're how to spin a cube. That's not useful for anyone. I guess I'm making tutorial videos now. Alright, so this cast is invalid. Okay, so that is where things are breaking. I always have to start somewhere. Very, very true. What's the smart way of doing this? I'll do this the dumb way and see if Ryder tells me a smarter way of doing it. Let's see. Let's set presets for each. Why did it move my cursor? Come on. We'll take footsteps. Presets. Yeah, Ryder is very good at being smart. Sometimes it is too smart and will do something I don't want it to, and then I have to undo past it. But yeah, I think what is it? That's it. Shift Enter is a shortcut that I need to remove. It just opens the window that you currently have, but again. And I have no interest in that ever happening. I'm struggling with the cannot export because your network ID is stupid error. Ah, that one. Very much familiarize yourself with the network utility window under VRChat SDK utility. This isn't showing up in the stream at all. Hold on, let me see if I can. But there is a network ID utility that I will tab down here. And this is just under VRChat SDK utilities, network ID import and export utility. Whenever you have that issue, just press the regenerate scene IDs button. And hope that it works. It usually does, but I've been having that issue so much as of late. It's incredibly infuriating. But yeah, hopefully that helps for you. Is there something you can do in that window that doesn't break your persistence data? Because I've been told that I should be using this window in order to avoid breaking persistence data. I feel like there should be a clear missing option or something like that. Don't know. Alright, Ryder. Tell me. Make this smart. Ah, yes. Link cast. That's how you do that. Nice. Yeah, I will definitely help in at times when I have the time to do so. Like, don't get me wrong. If you messaged me at if you like pinged in the Discord server, please don't message me independently. If you pinged in the Discord server about it, like, hey, I can't get this thing to work, and it's 3 a.m. I'm not helping you at that moment. I am getting sleep. But yeah, I will gladly, if I think that it's something I actually can be helpful with, then I will open up a project and toss something their way. Alright. Alright. This seems out of order though. I'm getting metal when I'm on the ground, which normally should just be block. Oh, I know what's happening. The fallback footstep preset is the fallback footstep preset is always the first one in the list, and the way I've ordered it now, it now puts my overrides at the start of that. So I need to just is there a way to add range of start? Append. So first, when you get someone who can't send it all in one message. Oh god. The amount of people that I talk to who message in partial sentences with no punctuation, it is very annoying when it comes to trying to get something done, but I understand it. it means that they play online games a lot. It means that they are someone who messages people in Valorant or will ping their chat in like Marvel Rivals or stuff like that. And they need to be able to communicate fast, and that's just how they've gotten used to talking online. But oh my god, is it not helpful? I'll just do this the other order then. Actually, yeah, that should just do it. Well, let's see if our ground still tastes like metal. No, it still sounds like metal. It shouldn't anymore, but we'll see. Oh yeah, there we go. Works fine. That works fine. That works fine. That works fine. That works fine. And that works fine. Now, for the fun part, launching up 2 test clients. This one will be a little bit annoying because the way I have it set up, OBS can only capture one of the VR chat screens that pops up. So I'll probably have to swap over to my display capture for it once it's booted. So I'll hit build and test here. The other annoying thing is that you're briefly going to hear VR chats loading twice. So I should be able to just mute this when it kicks on. Oop. Only a single instance of easy anti-cheater launcher is allowed to run at any given time. Is my SDK... Yeah, is my SDK ping... does this need to look at the other one? Well, this is still fine, but I'm not getting it to... Alright, let's do reload last build. And if this launches easy anti-cheat, then I'm going to have to figure out which of the executables to target that isn't that one. Oh, wait, no. I need to test last build, not reload. Alright, alright. Well, I'm gonna mute before I hear myself twice anymore. Turn off the auto switcher, swap to display capture. That was the wrong display. Let's see. Display capture needs to grab that monitor. There we go. All right. I'm certainly hearing it twice. Let's bump up world sounds a bit. All right, so I think Hmm. I think I know what's happening here. But in order to test that, I'm going to have to change the audio player prefab. I think they're still playing at the player's location instead of where they're meant to. Which should be an easy fix. It's just something I need to verify, and I don't have a way to verify that in client without doing this. Spinning game show wheel. Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Obviously I will not be able to get back to it immediately. But yeah, let me know. No, I don't want to read. Oh crap. I want to build and reload world. Oh my god, this has gotten so much more complicated with these new buttons. The updates to the SDK panel are what I would consider to be the perfect side grade. It is objectively better with the tooling that comes with it. However, it is objectively worse in terms of usability with the settings and stuff. Actually, wait, that looks right. Okay. That seems real. Alright. I don't think I'm capturing... Ah, yes, it is in fact coconut ball. I don't think I'm capturing audio from VR chat at the moment. Because my display capture doesn't capture audio. But yeah, let's swap to my VR chat window here. I'll just move the other VR chat over here. And oh no, it's capturing that one. So I need to... Streaming is very easy. Everyone should do it. It is the best thing that you can always do. Alright, there we go. So if I switch over to here, you can see the location of where the audio source is playing. So that's good. The spatialization is not correct, which is the part that's going to take some fiddling. It is better unless you use the old one. This is correct. At least they fixed the copyright pop-up. Yeah, that is true. There are fixes, there are improvements, and there are additional features with being able to launch for multiple platforms like iOS and Android and stuff like that. That's nice. But again, they have evened that out with a side grade. Alright, so this audio source needs some fiddling. This is one of the main issues that I saw would probably come out of syncing the audio source, the footsteps, is that it's kind of hard to tell spatially where it's coming from. Let's see, volumetric radius. Radius in meters of a spherical shaped sound source. Default to 0 to simulate point source. Well, that is what I'm doing. Far distance is 32. Yeah, okay, let's just change this curve. Do you know of Crazium of VRC? Like a code master, he makes game worlds. Nice guy. Yeah, Crazium is great. He does. He hosts some of the community meetups, which happen every Sunday. He streams a lot of them. He does some really interesting game worlds. I'm not sure you would call it a game world, but one of my favorite ones was definitely the world ends in 24 hours, in which if someone didn't hit that button in the middle of the world for 24 hours, the entire thing, the server deletes the world. And there was just always a person in that world going to click the button. I have no idea if it's still up. Oh, he made a music video in there. Oh, that's neat. Gotcha. All right. I'll give this one more test, and that should be it for getting the footsteps things synced. The physics objects will be next, but given that we've got 10 minutes left here, I think after these tests, I'll probably start wrapping it up. Still going. Damn, okay. Man, that is... Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't expect that one to last very long, and oh boy did it. Alright, so... yeah, sometimes this happens in local testing where the avatar size and offset is just completely wrong, so ignore the fact that they're in the air. But you now hear their footsteps. Ugh. There we go. I think if you touch scaling for a second, it fixes it. Oh yeah, I'd believe that. There we go. Good enough. Are they calculated locally or network? That would be... Oh, for the footsteps stuff. So this system, the way that I've set it up, the footstep system, excuse me. The footstep system locally checks your movements and everything like that, and whenever it wants to play a footstep sound effect, it plays it locally and then copies a bunch of the variables for that and then tells everyone the result from it. So it is a locally calculated thing that is then networked out to everyone else, and they're told, play this here at that volume. I am realizing now that this also only works for the playing footstep and not playing the jumping or landing sound effect, which I will also have to... this should be pretty easy to set up. Alright, last thing that I'm doing. Footstep clips. Yeah, so the whole reason why I'm doing this big upgrade is the network parameters. Now that we have them, it makes this so much easier. I've had people request having synced footsteps for a long time, and I've largely just said, oh, that's you wouldn't like that, it would be too noisy, but really it was just that it was too hard, so I didn't do it. Yeah, so if we're looking at the network usage for it, we are sending a integer for the ID of what material type it is. It would probably be safe to do a byte, but for some reason, if someone wants to have more than 256 different types of sound effect banks in their world, I don't want that to just randomly not work. We're also sending a vector 3 for a position and a float for the volume. And if everyone in the world is running, they're putting that out like once a second, maybe. Or, yeah, and it's only when people are like actually moving around a lot. So, hypothetically, this is probably fine. If we look at the documentation, they actually have a pretty robust breakdown on all of the different variable types and how much networking traffic they use. One of the big things about how the system handles the networking for these variables is in the back end, if the cost of the variable sync that you're passing is too high, it breaks it up into separate events that it's sending for like all those separate variables. This is invisible to Udon, and on the end, on the other user's end, they're acquiring everything at once. It isn't showing up as 3 different events. They're just being sent that way networking wise. What this means, however, is that it can fill up the rate limiting queue. I don't know too much about this system in particular, but it is something that Community Meetup will be interesting to stress test. If I really wanted to cut down on network usage, what I could do is trade out network usage for performance and have player objects for each player that is the target of this sound event. And when I try to send my event to them, I do a distance check to see if someone's more than 60 feet away. They have no reason to hear this footstep sound effect or the likes. I could set that up, but I don't think that's going to be worth the performance cost. It might be. Who knows? Community Meetup next Sunday will probably tell us whether or not this was a bad idea. But we'll find out. I'll probably share the stream as well in my Discord server for the Community Meetup one. I will not be streaming it, but someone there will be. Hey, no, just you're just AI, but thank you for your. Oh. Well, I can assure you, I'm in fact a real person, no matter what my 3D character implies. Oh god. Yeah, I will link the. Actually, I can do that now. VRC Community Meetup. Yeah, it would definitely be expensive Udon-wise, but it would cut down on a lot of the network traffic. I don't think it's worth it. But if things go poorly, then we'll find out. So let's open up the chat here where I can send it. So this is the website for Community Meetup. You can join the Discord server there and things. You have to be in their VR chat group before the stream starts, to be able to go to the event. And it is 3 p.m. Central Time on Sundays. I have no idea what that equates to on your sides, because frankly, I don't know where you live, and I think that's for the best. But that will be when the event takes place. And you can join the Discord server and stuff from this website. Highly recommended. It's a great time. Just be ready for 80-person VR chat instances. And by be ready, I mean have your performance settings set accordingly. All right. I'll have a little bit that I can kind of clean up here after the stream, but for the most part, I think we're done on this. Set to potato. Yeah, pretty much. I'll be streaming again on Thursday. The current schedule is Tuesday, Thursday at the same time for the same time span. And Thursday will be a good time for me to work on the physics objects part of this, now that we've got the actual footsteps part of it done. But yeah, thanks for everyone showing up. Honestly, I really expected the stream to be more scuffed than it was. There were a few things, especially in terms of handling audio sources. But yeah, thanks to everyone who showed up. Thank you, Breaker. Thank you, Crazy Boys. I guess I saw the J in your name and immediately felt I had incorrectly pronounced it. Yeah, thanks, Lumalight. Thank you, Aaron, Ashy, and everyone else who's here. That's it. That's all the people I'm going to actually try to pronounce the names of. That's what you get. But yeah, was great seeing everyone. Have a wonderful time. Crazy boys? Okay, yep, yeah. All right. See you Thursday.